Hey, welcome back, nerds. It's a brand new weekend, so that means, as always, a brand new anime streaming showcase. And on this week's Ask, we are going to look at Norihiro Yagi's Claymore, a dark medieval fantasy shonen action show slash manga that focuses on the silver-eyed witches taking on the demons that haunt the humans of the world. It's pretty great. It's fantastic. It's no Berserk, but it's a good substitute while Berserk is waiting to be streamed on various streaming sites. So let's just hop right into our brand new episode, alright? Fantasy manga and novels seem to be a dime a dozen in Japanese comics and literature, and even video games. It can be overwhelming to sift through the good and the bad of the genre, although there are some instant standouts like the previously reviewed Grimgar Fantasy of Ash novel and anime, or the hiatus-ridden Berserk manga. And to add a third candidate to that list, I'd like to present Claymore. Writer Norihiro Yagi creates a world tormented by demons called Yoma, which are shape-shifting beings that hunger for the human population. Thankfully, the world has a group at the ready to be called upon to eliminate such threats the people have dubbed Claymore. The eponymous group, primarily women, will arrive when a town is in need and eliminate any Yoma threat, collect their fee, and then continue on to the next threat, wherever that might be. The story focuses on the more moderately new Claymore of the organization, Claire, as her adventure in a small town has her saving a young man named Raki that kickstarts her life down a path of introspection, betrayal, friendships, loyalty, and buckets of blood, human and Yoma. Claire is the main heroine of Claymore, but if you ask the humans what their thoughts on Claire and her organization would be, they'd be less than respectful, often labeling the soldiers with the less polite silver-eyed witches. Claire and the other Claymores are human Yoma hybrids that rely on their demonics' half-power to save their human brethren. The constant inner battles of keeping their demonic halves in check are constant exercises that can ultimately result in the more heavily afflicted Claymore to require another in the organization to take their life before they've gone too far tapping into their Yoma power. The human Yoma control battle plays a large role in Claymore's lore, but it's also an intriguing way for writer Yagi to showcase shonen power levels without relying on each Claymore requiring a sense for it. It's often a visible manifestation that they're able to notice, and it presents even more of his terrific and stylish art. Knowing exactly when to tap into your demonic side often introduces intrigue and tactical stances into Claymore's battles. Nearly every one of the Claymore warriors relies on their Yoma power, also known as Yoki, to develop their new and devastating attacks. Additionally, this creates a world that's also profoundly bloody but despondent, as the Claymores lead empty existences. They're never making friends, taking lovers, or having families. Their entire goal is to wander the various lands defeating Yoma. And ever-changing ranking systems help monitor the warrior's strengths and abilities, and naturally the higher-ranked Claymore are capable of near instantaneous annihilation of Yoma. Unfortunately, the stay at the top is often temporary, as it means you've tapped into your Yoki too much and you're nearly awakened. Awakening means, just as it sounds, your Yoki is assumed control and your human side is completely obsolete. It's imperative for Claymores to keep themselves aware of their awakenings and ensuring they ask for death before it's too late for them and the rest of the world. Claymore's anime adaptation is handled by the ever-impressive Studio Madhouse, who often cut corners here and there, as most anime studios do, but they make up for it with careful consideration to Yagi's characters and able to showcase their dissimilar appearances. It's quite refreshing, too, to see an anime set in the shonen genre that presents more adult, realistically proportioned main characters versus bombastic, big-eyed, absurdly proportioned heroines. Claire and the rest of the cast's depictions help bring a more believable representation to the fantasy manga and anime category. In a story where death is prominent and characters can be killed or start killing others in an instant, reputability and human aspects help create more tension and empathy towards their actions. And despite the entire Claymore brood being blonde-haired and silver-eyed, their distinguishing hairstyles and body language creates more personality as much as their actions or motives. Of course, as flashy and stylistic as the characters in the fights are, Yagi still has a story to tell, and he will often interrupt fights to do so. Fights will often be half physical, half verbal, with the Claymore expositing dialogue and monologues to explain themselves or actions more than fighting. It's another and small impairment on an action show, but in the terms of the world and character development, I understand its necessity. It's just an annoyance when the action is so quite well done, only to be interrupted with dialogue. I guess Yagi had to have at least one glaring shonen trope in his series to appease his editors. On the surface, Claymore has a distinguishing art style, one that Studio Madhouse have adapted well from Yagi's manga, and its various summaries you may read might make it sound like yet another trope-laced shonen fantasy story. And while its premise might sound rather been there, done that, Yagi often subverts the expected and will launch the story into a flashback, or kill off a character without any warning, enticing the viewer or reader to stick around to see his vision. It also helps series director has his talents and has showcased them in early series like Cardcaptor Sakura and Chobits before Claymore, and he's now since gone on to work on Attack on Titan and one of the Hunter x Hunter films. Claymore is a series that will hop around time periods and characters a number of times, but will always be a constant moving forward force. The only major complaint I have towards the series lies in its finale and its reliance on an anime-only ending due to Madhouse's choice to make the anime more finite than open-ended. Deciding to have the series end absolutely rather than potentially allow a sequel series adapt the remaining manga content isn't surprising, but it's another blight that should be made aware to potential viewers. In the end, there will likely be more comparisons found within Claymore to, say, a series like Berserk over Grimgar as its closest companion, but Claymore offers more than a palette/gender swapped story. Both series do dip into the dark medieval fantasy rather than the cheery side of something like Konosuba, and their characters and stories benefit from this. The anime-only ending is a rather unfortunate occurrence, but everything before the finale is some of the finest subversive dark fantasy available. Furthermore, the manga has been fully translated by Viz Media, so if you need more Claymore after the anime, the manga are there readily available. Word advice, the series adapts roughly the first 11 volumes of the manga, so if you need to know where to pick up from the anime's ending, I'd recommend starting from volume 11 forward, but the story entirety is a worthwhile venture. If you're in the mood for a dismal, blood-splattered, fantastical show that's still as strong as it ever was over 10 years after its debut, Claymore is happy to fill that hole. You can find Claymore streaming on Hulu and Funimation, both subbed and dubbed on both services in its entirety. So there it is, new episode is done. Thank you for watching the Claymore review. It's a fantastic series. I just truly wish the 97 Berserk series was streaming somewhere because I so want to talk about it to great length on video. I've wrote about it many times, which you can find online, but I would just, the new series is not as good to me as the original. I think the 97 series, for whatever reason, why it's not streaming blows my mind, but as soon as it ever goes up, you can bet that I will be on it and I will be talking about it because it's so good. But Claymore is an exceptional series to fill that hole that Berserk, the 97 Berserk, doesn't fill right now. As I said, it is an anime-only ending for the last couple of episodes, so don't let that get you down. It's still fantastic from beginning to end, and you can always continue reading it. I think Viz even also does digital stuff too, and they're usually pretty cheaper than the physical manga. So definitely check it out. Claymore is fantastic. As always, thanks to the Laser Time crew for allowing me to dump this, to basically show my ass on their website. It's fantastic as always. I've got some stuff to do, so I'm going to wrap this up, and I will see you next week for a brand new episode of Anime Streaming Showcase. See you around, guys.